Alrighty guys, we are back with episode 4, I believe, of programming in Java. And today we are going to be learning how to loop over code very easily in Java, so stay tuned. I'll be back in a minute. Alrighty, so I haven't even gotten up from my chair, and we are going to learn about looping now. So all of this is on Pastebin, and it is about to... Actually, I'll leave it for this, because it's still useful. So, let us... This actually looks a lot like if any of you are taking AP Calc A, or not AP Calc, AP Computer Science A. When you get to the grid world for the AP exam, this is a lot like the disclaimer, the legal disclaimer that the College Board puts at the top of their files. So, let us write a new method. Well, not really a new method, but in main, we are going to learn how to loop. So, there are two different kinds of loops. I'm going to remove this. Yeah, I feel obliged to leave it, actually. So, loops, loopings, and their loopings. Loops and their kinds. We have the for loop, the while loop, and then something you don't need to know right now because it's no real need for you to need it at all. Do while loop. But I'm going to remove this because we aren't learning it today. I might teach it way down the line, but for now it's not useful. Well, it is useful, but not. You can do stuff with the while loop that you can do with the do while and vice versa. Actually, no, there's some things you can do with the while loop that you can't do with the do while loop, but without conditions and weird things, but it's not worth it. So, looping. Let us go over how to loop. So, today we are just going to be learning the while loop. In the future, we're going to be learning the for loop. So, let's go here. So, we're going to create a new int. We're going to call this I. I is short for index. And another trick I didn't show you in the last video is you can actually declare and initialize a variable on the same line of code. So, say I basically had I equals 0, or int I equals 0. This can be shortened to int I equals 0, but you still have to know the difference between declaration and initialization. It's important if any of you ever take any sort of test on programming. So, now that we have that, we're going to follow after me, as usual, and then I'll explain it. While, empty parentheses, returns, brace, close brace. And now, in these parentheses is a condition, and it's going to be called an expression, actually, which you guys haven't learned that yet, but you're about to now. I'm going to show you the three most basic kinds of expressions that have to do with booleans and ints in Java. So, let's see here. Say I want to print out all the numbers from 1 to 100, each on the new line. I could do system.out.print line 1, and then copy this whole thing and put it on a new line here and change that to a 2 and all over again, but that's pathetic. So, let's print out I in here. And every time that we call this, we want I to go up. So, this basically right now is going to keep on running forever because we haven't given it a condition to stop at yet. But system.out.println I, it's going to keep on looping over I. So right now, actually that's not even going to work. Right now, nothing's going to happen. But I could write while true in here, which actually you can do. It's not very good, but you can do it. And if I print this out, it's just going to print out zeros forever until the program is either crashes or is stopped. So, let's see here. Let's say I want I to increase. So let's do I plus plus, as I showed you in the last video. Compile, run. It counts up, but it doesn't stop at 100. This will go on until it gets to the maximum value, then it will roll over back to the minimum value and keep going and going and going. But we don't want it to do that. We want it to only go up to 100. So the most logical way, as you guys would imagine, is while I is less than or equal to 100. And let's say we want to start at 1. We can start at 1. So what this does, it says, okay, we have a new int called I. First, this is just a placeholder for it. And this says, okay, I is 1. And then, is I less than or equal to 100? Yes, it is. So we're going to do this. Is I less than or equal to 100? Yes, it is. So we're going to do this, etc., etc., etc. Down the line until I became greater well, I less than or equal to. When I became 101, this said and it just skipped the loop and exited. So now you'll see it only prints out up to 100, and it started at 1. Let me go up to 1. And this has a ton of uses in Java. Tons and tons and tons. It can be used to search through massive arrays of values to find something. You're going to be needing to master loops over time. So that's the while loop. And it looks like while condition and then in braces do stuff. So that is the basics of while loops, but there are a whole bunch of conditions that I haven't shown you. Say I wanted this to only run once. I could create a new Boolean. Actually, I need I still. I don't want this to compile because it won't know what I is talking to if I delete that line up above. Say I had a new Boolean. Call it B equals true. And we're going to say while B, which basically means while B is true. You could also do while B equals, use equals when you're comparing things, and equals when you want something to get the value of something else. So keep that in mind whenever you're comparing two things to see if they are in fact equal. You use equals as opposed to the single equals sign, and you will figure out that you were doing something wrong very quickly if you use the single equals sign, because it won't even compile. So while B equals true, but I like the shorter way, so we're going to say while B. We'll also do while B equals false. But if you wanted to do that the shorter way, you could do while exclamation point B or not B. That's what that exclamation point stands for. So while not B, or you could do while B does not equal true even. And when you're comparing two things, and you don't want, or if you want to use double equals to compare two things, but you want it to be not double equals, like the opposite of that, you can do not equals. And you, of course, you can also do less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, etc. But we just want to see if B is true, so while B. And if I want this to only run once, I can say while, or once we get out of here, we can say B equals false. And that would only print it out once. As you can see there, it printed out 1 and then exited the loop because it said, all right, so we have a Boolean called B. B gets the value of true, so B is now true. While B, which this is evaluated to say true, it prints out I, which is currently 1. And B becomes false, and it says, okay, what's the value of B? B is false, so we're going to exit. That's how it works. That's it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you have learned something about while loops today. I hope that you will realize how this will be useful. If not, you will certainly be realizing it in the future. And guys, have a lovely day. I will see you in the next video about if statements. Woo, everyone's favorite. They are very useful. Be back.